Hello everyone, we are today at the Panzermuseum and I'm here with Tobias, a former Leopard 2 gunner. And we talk about why Rheinmetall wasn't allowed to call a Leopard a Leopard. So what is the background here?
Yes, the thing is, we had this year a settlement in the court because the problem was the Leopard was built in the Cold War and it was a joint venture of Rheinmetall and KMW. For example, the gun, the fire control system and so on came from Rheinmetall, but the tank itself was a development of KMW. So it was a joint venture, and at the end of the Cold War, these vehicles ended everywhere because it was an open market and both companies wanted to sell tanks.
And Leopard probably has a pretty good name.
It had a good name, yes. And for example, the German army stick with the KMW versions, like with the wedged armor, like A5, A6 and so on. While Rheinmetall developed its completely own tank from this. And the base is the A4. Basically, like the A4 is the point where it splits. Rheinmetall and KMW. And the Rheinmetall ones, most notably, for example, yes, the Polish one, the Leopard 2 PL, they still based on this box turret, have also add-on armor, but it looks different. It's not like a wedge, it's like put in front of it. It's also more bulky. You can also see such vehicles in Singapore, for example. And Rheinmetall developed the tank and called it then MBT Revolution, because Leopard was a brand of KMW. So there was so there was this tank MBT Revolution that Rheinmetall wanted to sell, and Rheinmetall kept on developing what at the end led to the Panther K51. Same way that they completely redeveloped the Marder. The Marder was also, I think it was called Marder X. It was the development that led at the end into a KF41, to the Lynx. So they also kept developing the Leopard for their own. And you had like this concurrence. It's like Rheinmetall wants to sell its tanks to customers, KMW wants to sell its tanks, and the name Leopard is well known everywhere because of Leopard 1, Leopard 2, and it's a good tank. And it's something you can advert if you can call it a Leopard or if you can't call it a Leopard. So there was a settlement because it already went to court, but as far as I know, they resettled it outside of the court, and we will see what will come out at the end.
So they were not allowed to call it a certain time, and then they will like...
Because it was a brand, or how is it called, by KMW. And the KMW didn't want it that Rheinmetall use it, because they said Rheinmetall only built the gun, but the tank itself is ours. But Rheinmetall itself, at least it was designed by KMW like this way, but Rheinmetall also built them, and they said like with the argument, yeah, we built these tanks as well, so we want to name the tanks also like them. And that was the problem, that you have like two separate companies who are like in competition to each other, made together a single project.
So which countries have Rheinmetall and which have KMW?
I mean, Germany only has KMW so far. There's also one thing why I don't expect that the Panther will come to the German army so far, because all Leopards that we had were KMWs, and all these variants, for example, you have the A5, A6, A7, they are like always upgrading each other, and A4 went a complete different way. You can see it, for example, at the hatches of the hull. If you look at the Panther, for example, it still has this hatch, while KMW switched to a hatch that you can like move to the side. It's like in rails that you can move. So you have the differences there, and it will be hard to upgrade a KMW tank to a Rheinmetall standard, so you have to find something different in between. Singapore has these modified A4 tanks, and Poland, for example, has both. Poland has the A5s from Germany that they bought, but they also developed together with Rheinmetall the Leopard 2 PL, and the PL also utilized parts that were domestically made in Poland. But the overall design is near to the MBT Revolution, besides of the hull. The hull is quite similar to the A4, only it got the auxiliary power unit, APU, in the rear to produce electrical power. But beside of this, it's...
Does the Rheinmetall one also have the long belt gun as well?
It has a modified short barrel one that also can fire like this programmable high explosive runs like Leopard 2A7. It's the thing, it's like ordering a car. It's not that you have Leopard 2A6 is A6. It's depending what you want as customer. For example, Qatar as a country bought basically the full option version of the KMW.
So with everything in there.
like nearly everything that is possible, while Germany had like more basic versions. You can see it, for example, the remote weapon stations on certain Leopards that the German Leopards don't have, the remote weapon station.
So it would be at the commander's position, right?
I think it's behind it.
So it's like a machine gun turret, or?
Either machine gun or grenade launcher would be possible depending on which weapon you mount on it. But that's one of the points where it went from the Cold War, where it was the Soviets as an enemy, we as Germany needs that. But the Cold War was over, these companies were there, they have like these production capabilities, they had like these 2,000 Leopard 2 tanks that were built, and they want to sell it.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's now, the Cold War's over and we need to sell it, money, and that's one point, and that went to a economical little conflict between these companies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found it really curious when the Panther was announced that some people complained, why use that name that was used for the Second World War German tank, and it was like...
I mean, if you go with this, you already had the looks in the Cold War.
Yeah. And also, you had the Tiger as a helicopter.
And you have the Hummel.
There's a Hummel?
Electronic warfare vehicle of the German army. TPZ.
Ah, so that's the Fuchs with an...
Electronic warfare. It's called Hummel.
Interesting.
So you have, I mean, there are only a certain amount of
for that
names.
The name actually makes more sense. Hummel means bumblebee. So yeah, and the Hummel for the heavy artillery was like, that's an odd name, because the Hummel is like the least threatening of the flying thingies, I think, as far as I know.
I mean, you have to think about there's only a certain name of animal names.
Yeah, a certain amount. I mean, the Marder was really used again. The Marder was the tank destroyer, and now it's the IFV.
Puma,
yeah, but Puma, yeah, in the Wehrmacht the name was rarely used, I think. Could be wrong. Yeah. It was rather late.
But you had it again. So with the Panther, it's a promising design, but we will see where it leads to. I mean, it has a good turret, but we saw that the hull was still a Leopard 2 hull. Namely on the hatch, where you can clearly see it's still A4 hull with certain modifications. But it's said that Rheinmetall want to develop their own hull, and we will see when they are done with it and how it will look like. And
ideally you won't have any ammunition in the hull.
Yeah, because you have like the fourth crew member there, and you have only the autoloader in the rear of the turret, so there is no.
So basically the future design of a tank is that you have an autoloader, you have nobody in the turret.
Well, with the Panther, it's said that the gunner's still there, commander. But you have like
But you have blowout panels.
You have the driver in the hull, then you have a gunner and commander in the top of the vehicle, and then you have like a system operator in the hull that can, for example, control loitering ammunitions or drones and stuff like this, or additional systems. And that's, in my eyes, a very good idea, because he also could maybe operate a remote weapon station while the gunner is using the main gun for combat, and the commander is doing commander things like planning, communication, and so on. So you have this working together. So that's also one thing why I like a crew of 4 more than a crew of 3, because you can share more the work. Yeah. Then the loader in the Leopard is not only the loader, but he also operates the radio systems.
Okay. Anything else to add?
Not from my side.
Okay. Then thank you very much. Thank you to the Panzermuseum Munster for inviting us. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.